So, with the phone going off, immediately, as I'm trying to rectify in my head just where this phone had come from, what's going on here, why this is happening, to my left, beside me, in my bed, I feel someone shift.
A Kodega is a guide and a storyteller, escorting you through the night, lighting the way, warding off thieves, ghosts, demons, and other oddities. Along the journey, his companions would often share with him the most curious of stories that he'd record in his codex. Perhaps you just might find yourself traveling with a Kodega and sharing one of yours. Click that like. If you're new here, subscribe and have the bell hit for notifications to stay up to date on all of the new content. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. This is Rye here from Codega's Codex of Curiosities, and tonight's curiosity will be a glitch in the Matrix story with Zach. Will be on here right away. Zach is going to tell us a quick little experience that he had. So this is going to be one of my shorter interviews. So I'm looking forward to it as well. So just some general housekeeping. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit that like button if you like the show, and then also leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Maybe you've had an experience as well. If you had, you can always email me at codexofcuriosities@gmail.com. I have, of course, my Patreon. $5 gets you a shout out. $25 gets you a lot of swag. Gets you some shirts. It gets you a mug. It gets you a bag as well. Then also, I have a merch store. So if you don't want to do the Patreon, you just want to buy something outright, go check out my merch store down below. Everything will be in the comments and in the show notes. Why am I messing up? That's awesome. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to bring Zach on, and let's do that now. Hey, Zach, welcome to Codega's Codex of Curiosities.
Thank you, man. Appreciate having me on here and appreciate to be with you tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So, we can jump right into this. So, Zach, why don't you tell us about your experience? And like I said before, we were talking just before the interview, and you're saying we're trying to figure out what to classify this, and your best guess is a glitch in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm. Something along those lines here. Well, to get us started off here, just a little bit about myself, too. I'm
Perfect.
not someone who is a complete stranger to the paranormal. For a long, long time, since I really could read and write here, I've always been fascinated by ghost stories and things of the paranormal. And as I got older and had a few strange experiences of my own, I got far more curious into it and wanted to approach things more from a seeking to satisfy my curiosity, but also wanted to get some answers: the who, what, when, where, and why of what it is that I ran into and how it happened. And that turned into a long love affair and kind of really just set me on the path here of like exploring all sorts of mysteries and things that kind of fall off the beaten path here. And that kind of plays a little bit here into what happened with me here. Now, to set the story first here, this takes place, or this happened, about right about around this time of year, about 10 years ago. The year is 2014. At that time, I was living in southern Ohio in this little college town called Oxford, Ohio, where they have Miami University. I had done a little bit of a brief stint there for some grad work, but it didn't end up working out. So I was still kind of just there trying to figure out my next steps here. And how this happened is, well, to set things up a little bit further here, every morning I would normally wake up real early because I had a job working at the local call center, and my shift was normally on first shift, so I would normally have to leave my little apartment about 7:30, 8 o'clock ish. That way I could walk the block or two over to the building where my office was at and get to work. So I normally had a timer or an alarm set on my little phone, and I would get up about a little bit before 6. You're right when dawn was starting to peek through my windows in my apartment. Well, this morning was it was one that kind of started just like any other morning. I remember having a dreamless sleep, the one that kind of that where you wake up in the morning, you feel refreshed, you feel re-energized. You're like, all right, I'm ready to start my day. Well,
Yes.
and so I wake up, and the first thing that catches my attention is that there's an alarm going off. And I'm a little confused because I hadn't set my alarm, or at least I didn't remember setting my alarm on my little phone. Now, also to bear in mind, my phone at the time was a Motorola flip phone. I didn't have a smartphone at the time. So keep that in mind for a little bit later here. So I'm hearing this alarm go off, and I'm confused. And as I wake up, to my right is normally where I would, at the time, in my bedroom, I had a small bookcase that kind of acted like my nightstand. I would keep my keys on it, my phone, my wallet, just the little things you keep in your pockets. And so I turned my head to the right to see where this alarm was coming from. And to my surprise, I see a phone that's going off, but it's not my phone. This is a black smartphone, rather large one at that.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of confused because I can see clearly, I can see the time. I can hear the alarm coming from it. It's not a very loud alarm. It's kind of one of those vibrating brr, brr, brr alarms that kind of gets your attention no matter what room you're in.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at it, and I'm startled by it, but I don't yell or say anything. I'm just like, where did that come from? At this point, I know that I'm wide awake at this point.
Okay.
And now I'm in the story. Now I'm it as I'm telling it, it's gonna sound like this takes, like minutes to happen. No, this happens in seconds. So this
Okay.
is a very quick encounter and has how it happens in real time. So with the phone going off, immediately as I'm trying to rectify in my head just where this phone had come from, what's going on here, why this is happening, to my left, beside me, in my bed, I feel someone shift. And this is when this person comes gently crawling over top of me. And when I say crawling over top of me, it's kind of like that crawling you do where, say, you're in bed with your partner
Hmm.
and there's something that's going off and you want to kind of get to it, but you
Yeah.
have to get over your partner to get to it, but you
Of
don't
course.
so you don't want to disturb them, so you kind of gently ease your way over. That was how this woman, kind of moved over top of me,
Okay.
and she, by her height and by her weight, she had to be no more than 5 foot, and weight I would have to guess at least maybe 108 pounds soaking wet. She was small.
Yeah.
This was a small, thin framed woman, and I'm like, okay, not old, not like out of the blue here. Someone about my age,
Hmm.
which kind of struck me a little bit. Short black hair, kind of cutting a short cut here, bangs kind of hanging around her face here, dressed in just a stereotypical black T-shirt and gray sweat bottoms, like you would wear
Yeah.
for pajamas. Nothing too unusual. But when I saw her, my immediate thoughts were, okay, who is that? What the hell is this going on here? But before I could even say a word,
Hmm.
immediately information popped into my brain like, this is your partner. You have been with her for a long period of time. You two are in a long committed relationship.
Hmm.
And the way this kind of popped into my brain was so sudden, it felt more like I don't want to say it was inserted into my brain, but it was there. It was present in my mind, and I could not account for it. And it
Wow.
made me pause because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I know this person, but I don't know this person. But
Of
I'm
course.
not. But I'm not getting a bad feeling. So I'm kind of just still. I'm still laying there in bed, trying to just kind of figure out what I should do in this situation because this is so weird, so out of the norm that I don't know what to do here. I really do not know what the hell to do. So I just kind of just watch her to see what she does, and she just gently crawls over me, comes to stand at the side of the bed, grabs the phone, which seems to be her phone, and she kind of does the fumble with it to turn off the alarm going off here. And as she's doing that, the light of the phone kind of illuminates her face so I can get a better look at her. And I'm looking at her face, and she's a pretty young thing. Not bad to look at whatsoever here. Kind of slight features, kind of a slightly roundish face, real big expressive eyes here. Her color of her eyes had to be, I want to say, either a dark hazel or a medium colored brown. I only got to see it for like maybe a second or two before the light from the phone kicked off. And when I looked at her face, I had this just unmistakable feeling of familiarity. Didn't know who she was in my conscious forward part of my mind, but at the same time, it's like I knew her from somewhere, but I just could not place it. And it's the damnedest thing. It's the damnedest thing to feel, the damnedest thing to experience. And I'm just like, okay, so this is not a dangerous situation. But who are you?
Yeah, not stranger danger.
Oh, yeah, I'm not getting that feeling at all, which was a surprise because I'm like, okay, I don't really know, but I do know. This is not making sense to me. My mind is just trying to make some sort of sense out of it. And I also want you to remember, I haven't moved from my spot in the bed just yet. I'm kind
Okay.
of looking at her. I'm looking up a little bit, but I haven't really moved yet. And when she kicks off the phone here, that's when she looks at me and she has this look on her face that is comforting, is gentle, and when I feel her place her hands on the sides of my face, and I'll always remember the feeling of her hands on my face here. She had small hands, kind of tapered fingers, very slight build, like I said earlier. Her, her skin felt rather cool, like someone who had normally a low body temperature, but very much this felt like an actual living human being touching my
Yeah.
face. And she's just gently stroking the sides of my face, kind of running her fingers a little bit through my beard. And she just kind of soothingly says in this very soft, gentle voice that it's going to be okay. That's all right. To go back to sleep. Everything's going to be fine. Those words in particular stuck out in my head. Everything
Mm,
is going to be just fine. There was a certainty to it that made me just, I almost said something.
yeah.
And the moment I went to go say something is when I kind of looked past her and looked up at my ceiling. And this is where things get even stranger than what I just described. Have you ever been in a pool on a sunny and kind of windy day,
Of
and when you're
course.
and when you're underwater, you kind of just look up to see what the surface of the water looks like because you're curious as a kid?
Yeah.
You kind of
Always.
see, and you see how the wind is kind of making the surface of the water ripple, but the sunlight is kind of streaming down, so it has this shimmering kind of
Hmm.
wavy effect in the
It's
water.
like, yeah, it's like dancing. It's like it's dancing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. I am seeing this same kind of watery pattern on the ceiling of my bedroom.
Wow.
It is the same color as my bedroom ceiling, which is this basic off-white Gennaro landlord couldn't spring for any other color kind of off-white here. And I'm looking at it, and that's when reality itself, which had been completely normal up to this point, starts to take on this watery feeling to it. I am watching it in real time as everything seems to just take on a watery effect. Like somehow I'm suddenly underwater. And I watch as this shimmering watery surface quickly comes down from the ceiling towards us. And
Wow.
it is coming fast. It comes on so fast that I instinctively flinch. And in that millisecond of a flinch, I blink
Yeah.
and I watch as reality just resets itself, is the best way I can describe it. And I see how the watery effect that had been around me just slowly fades out,
Yeah.
and then everything is normal. In the span of maybe 2 seconds, this happens, and and when I look back to my right, because I had been focused on what just came at me,
Yeah.
she is no longer standing there. She is gone. There is no trace of her. There is nothing left of her. I mean, nothing. Like one moment there, the next moment, like it wasn't even a thing. Like it wasn't even a real. It wasn't even in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that happened, and the moment I realized that she was gone, and I start to process this wave of grief just rolls over top of me. It's like I just lost a limb. Like someone had just punched me in the gut as hard as they could and yanked out my heart. That kind of deep, unseated grief just hits me. And I just lay there and I just bawl my eyes out
Shit.
because in that moment I realized not only is she gone, she is gone. I may not ever see this person again. And I am just trying to come to grips with what the hell just happened. And I know I lay there at least 5 minutes just bawling, losing, just completely losing it.
Yeah.
And in that, oh, god damn, this is just something to remember here. I'm getting all those feelings right back here as I talk
No
about
problem. No problem, Zach. Take your time. Take all the time
it.
you need.
Okay. As I'm as I lay there,
Mm-hmm.
this is when my cat that I had at the time, his name is Merv. I'd have him for a long, long time since I was in high school up until about a couple years ago when he finally passed. But my cat Merv, he comes into the bedroom because he hears me, and whenever he would hear me crying or just not having a good time, he'd always come in to investigate, see what's wrong, kind of just rub himself against me to let me know, hey, it's okay. And he
Good
comes,
cat.
and he was a good boy, best boy. He comes in, he jumps up on the bed, and I feel him rubbing against me, which kind of helps me come back to myself, my senses.
Okay. Yeah. Brings
As
you
I'm
back
petting,
into the here and now.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm petting him, I finally decide to raise up and get up here. And
Mm-hmm.
when I'm raised up and I sit on my bed, this is when my rational mind starts kicking in and is trying to find some sort of logical explanation for just what the hell I just experienced.
Yeah.
I'm trying to rationalize it, find a way to pick it apart. But as I sit there thinking about it, going over the events that I just witnessed, I'm like, this can't be a dream. That was
Mm-hmm.
not a dream. I was wide awake. I know I was wide awake. I've never had a dream do that before, ever. What the
Exactly.
hell was that? I'm just trying to work my way through it, trying to explain it away.
Mm-hmm.
Because because when you run into strange things that just come fly in the face of everything you knew, your mind tries to find some way to rationalize it.
100%.
Tries to find some way to explain it away, even if it's something that you know in your mind and in your heart, there's no logical explanation for what you just experienced other than what it was you just experienced.
Yeah.
And as I'm trying to sit there, work through it, two, well, two and a half things come up and start really sticking out to me. The first thing, the most important thing, was to my left. I noticed this first. That side of the bed where this woman had been laying,
Yeah.
there is an indent that matches her her body size, her body structure in my sheets, in my pillow, in my blanket. Like there is a indent where you could tell someone had been laying there. It is still warm. It smells like her. I can smell this gentle floral girly is best way I can describe it.
Okay.
Scent that is on my bedding, and I have no. There is no explanation for that.
Wow.
No other explanation for that. None. Zero. I'm like, okay, this is real. This
Hmm.
is real. So much so that my cat, he is sniffing at this because he is very curious as to why there is this spot that does not smell like his master. Now I am 6'1" and all of 350 plus pounds. I am a big man. When I lay on something or lay somewhere, it leaves a mark. It leaves a big mark. You're not
Yeah.
gonna mistake this. If I rolled over and laid on there, it would have
Hmm.
left a very different mark
Of course.
than what was actually there. Because that was the first thing that my mind kind of tried to run to was, okay, maybe I just rolled over in my sleep, and that's what this was. No, no, this did not match my body type. This did not match anything that I would have left behind, that anyone would have left behind except for this person. That was that's the one big thing that caught
Okay.
my attention. The second, it's a bit of a subtler one, but it's something I noticed when I looked over at my nightstand. Well, my bookcase that poses in my nightstand. You know, whenever you set something down on a stand or somewhere, and it kind of just moves things out the way to make space for something, and
Of
then
course.
you take that thing away, and you still know that thing was there because of the space it leaves behind.
Yes.
Same thing happened here with her phone. Where her phone had been, there was a space where I can tell things had been moved aside
Hmm.
where her phone had sat. And the absence of her phone stuck out, like glaringly so, like that was supposed to be there. Where did it
Hmm.
go? And I'm like, okay, that was there. That was there. There was something there. There was something over here. What the hell happened here? What the hell did I just experience?
Exactly.
What
What was that?
I do not understand. I checked things all around my apartment. Everything seemed normal. Everything seemed fine. I remember looking at my alarm clock and wondering, well, maybe this really was a dream, but nope. Because I remember, I know in dreams a, a way that I've always heard that you can tell you're in a dream. Look at a clock, look at a book, look at something that has either numbers or letters. Normally, you're not
Correct.
supposed to read any of that, but
Correct.
I clearly remember I read numbers on that phone that was sitting there. I remember letter I remember numbers on my alarm clock that I hadn't paid attention to, but I clearly knew it was there on my alarm clock that was sitting on my nightstand, on my
Mm.
bookcase. Like this was real. This was reality. Was in reality, and yet I saw all this happen, and I had no explanation for this. None whatsoever. I sat in my room for a good 10 minutes just
Yes.
watching everything, just trying to observe everything, look at everything to try and figure out what the hell happened. I had not been drinking anything, I had not smoked anything, There was nothing that I could run my mind over that could account for what happened other than this happened.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
after that, I spent a good long time just asking people that I knew who had done work with either shamanic practices, transcendental work,
Hmm.
like advanced meditation, astral projection, things like that, because I knew these people and I had practiced these techniques and I knew some things.
Yeah.
And this was way out of that ballpark. Way
Not
out.
in not in those wheelhouses. Yeah.
Oh no, this was something completely different. And the people I talked to had no words for this. They're like,
No.
they
Like,
were just like, what the hell was that? I have no clue. I didn't have a proper term for it whatsoever. I'm just like, okay, I experienced the thing.
hmm
And I swear to you, when the thing that really that really stuck out to me when I just kind of played it back through my mind, was that moment when I saw that shimmering liquid surface
yes.
come down on me. It felt like I was being pushed from one plane of reality, the best way to describe it,
Ooh.
to another. Like I
Hmm.
had woken up someplace that I was not supposed to be. And something was like, no, son, this isn't where you're supposed to be, bub. I'm sorry, we can't let you stay. And just pushed me back to where I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
Only way I've ever thought to ever describe that.
So I have some questions, Zach. I have
Ask
some
your
questions.
ask your questions. That is my story in its entirety, and I know if people listen to this and they think this is nuts, trust me, I thought the same damn thing too. Because this
You've
sounds.
come to the right place. You've come to the right place to
If,
tell this kind of story. So
if
this
I
is,
had
yeah.
not experienced this myself, I
Hmm.
would have said, nah, this sounds nuttier than hell. This sounds nuttier than squirrel shit.
Okay. So these questions now.
Ask them. Go ahead.
The phone that she had, ha- do you recognize it now? Have you ever seen that phone now? Like any type of phone that it looks like? Like, was it from that time? Or is it something that is more, maybe you might have seen that type of phone these years?
The phone that I saw, it
Hmm.
was a large black smartphone that it looked like one of the early models of the smartphones where the big bulky things that could
Okay.
kind of just took up all the space in your hand. It looked
Yeah.
like one of those, like maybe a Motorola, maybe a Nokia. Like
Okay.
it very much looked like something that did not look out of place, if that makes any sense. It looked
Okay.
very much like a contemporary model of the smartphones that were out in about 2014. It
Okay.
was
Perfect.
just a
Now,
big honker, is really what it looked like. Which is how I kind of knew that this was a smartphone that from that
that
day and
era.
time here, and
Hmm.
didn't strike me as anything super duper weird.
Okay. Now, this perfume, have you ever run across this perfume since then? Have you ever walked by someone who maybe was wearing that same type of perfume?
Not a person.
Okay.
It was. You're gonna laugh at me here. It was at a CVS of all places where I smelled something that was very similar to it.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
it was smelled like. You ever remember that herbal essences shampoo stuff?
Of course. Of
It's
course.
this. I forget the exact flavor that they were selling at this CVS, but I ran across it one time because I was looking to buy some stuff for my apartment,
Hmm.
as you do,
As you
and
do.
I caught a whiff of this scent that immediately stopped me in my tracks. I'm like, wait, what the hell
Hmm.
is that? And I happened to go over to the bottle, check it out, and it didn't smell it. And you take off the cap, you kind of take a whiff of what
Yeah.
the hell it is you're smelling here, and it wasn't the exact one, but it was close enough that it made me go, okay,
Hmm.
that is weird as hell.
Interesting.
I've never kind of got this stuff before, but
Hmm.
here it is sticking out to me. I put the bottle back before I even thought I was up to something real weird.
I thought maybe you would buy it. I thought maybe you would buy it.
I thought about it, but I'm like, okay, no, I'm gonna put this back because
Mhm.
I'm gonna. This just feels too damn weird for me. I'm out. Nope,
Of
nope,
course.
yeah, nope. I'm a back away from the edge here.
Okay. Now I got another question here. And
Yeah.
this one, I want you to answer without thinking.
Okay.
Okay? So I want you to answer very quickly if
Okay.
you can.
Okay.
What is her name?
Oh, son of a bitch.
Just let it come. Let something come out.
Joanna?
Joanna.
Jasmine? Starts with the J.
Okay. Okay.
Starts with the J.
Interesting.
And there's an A vowel in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's the damnedest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have tried to remember the name because when that information clicked into my head,
Yeah.
her name came with it.
Of
But I
course.
didn't dare say it out loud for some
Mhm.
reason or another.
Mm-hmm. Joanna, Jana, Jenna.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Oh, god damn. Okay. Whew, this is making me feel all sorts of tingles up and down my back here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're hitting things.
We're getting progress. We're getting progress.
Uh,
Now,
ugh.
do you believe? I have an idea. Do you believe she came into your reality, or you went into that reality into another Zach?
I have thought about this for
Mm-hmm.
some time about where the boundary was.
Yes.
Did I jump into someone? Or did I jump into another version of me?
Mm-hmm.
A la quantum leap myself into another version of me?
Yeah.
Or did she
I believe that happens. I really do.
come into my reality? I could not tell you. I do not know.
It's so tough because I believe that you jumped into another, but yet there was impressions of her still left, like physical impressions literally left
Yes,
in your bed
there
as
were
well.
physical impressions left in my apartment. So I
It
don't
was
know.
like a cross. It was like a crossroads that you were at, like some sort of, because I've always believed that we are like a stacking doll, like a Russian stacking doll with other realities, other dimensions. We're one on
Yeah,
top of the other.
I totally am on board with this. Yes,
But
I
I
firmly agree
believe
with that.
that there's cross points, and perhaps this was don't mind the pun because of all the water, but a fluid type of cross point where it flowed into this reality, the crossover where both were crossing over. Now, when she said everything's going to be all right, do you have a feeling that she knew, or she was referencing something else, maybe some other issue or something like that?
I think she knew. I think she
Okay.
knew exactly what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
That I apparently was and wasn't supposed to be where I was, and she was reassuring me right
Mm-hmm.
before I got pushed back that you're
Mm-hmm.
going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay.
Perhaps she's the quantum leaper. Perhaps she is leaping into other realities, and she knows that. Like you said, seemed like she had knowledge of that, and then she had brought you into this certain crossroads that you knew of her, and then you guys were time and the dimension that she's in pulled her back in, and you were pushed through as well back into your own.
You know, I've thought about that. I've thought
Mm-hmm.
about that a lot here because when my mind just, I almost want to say, recalled her,
Yeah.
there was such a connection with her
Mm-hmm.
that such a profound connection that when I felt that connection just, I don't want to say get severed, but when I got pushed back, that loss of that connection or that loss of her not being there just felt so profound in its loss and its grief
Mm-hmm.
that it just rendered me completely unable to do anything but bawl. Like I said,
Course.
it felt like I had lost a friggin' limb. Like
Yep.
someone had come in and just cut my arm off and that I would never be whole again. It
Jeez.
was the wildest feeling that I have ever felt. I have never felt that ever.
Mhm.
I have gone through different relationships. I even got close with someone that I was going to marry at some time. And even the loss of that relationship did not carry as much weight
Mhm.
as this feeling of profound grief did. And that loss of my relationship that where I almost got married to this girl, or to this one girl,
Yeah.
was that messed me up for at least a couple of years because there was a lot attached to that relationship, and it hurt. It hurt a lot, and it took a lot to recover from that. But I did. But this was something completely different. This is something in a brand new ballpark.
Whole nother level,
Oh dear
like a
lord!
yes, like your soul partner, like your twin flame, or some people would call that, or something along
Yeah,
that line. Yeah.
something like that. Even though I am really skeptical of the whole concept of twin flame,
Yeah.
in this instance, that's not a bad stretch to kind of
Hmm.
ascribe to it. And like I said, it just felt so wild to go through it and experience it that I'm still just having trouble rationalizing the feelings that come with this.
Of course, Zach. Yeah, that's. I can only imagine the loss that you have. I can only imagine that. It's crazy, and like I deal with a lot of people who have a lot of nefarious things happen, or nefarious, abductions
Hmm.
and encounters.
Yes.
But this doesn't feel like that at all. This feels like nothing negative at all with it, other than the severing of that tie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like they're it's a very sad it's very sad, and I hope one day you can find her, Jana, Joanna.
Whoever this person is.
I really do, maybe another time, another place, another reality.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah,
There's much more to life that still has to play out. So we'll see. We'll see what
exactly.
happens.
Well, Zach, I want to say thank you so much for sharing this experience with us. It was it was quite profound and quite emotional as well, and I definitely want to say, here, I believe you. I totally believe that you had this experience, and you can hear it. You can hear it in people's voices. You can hear it in their emotions.
Hmm.
That this was as real as my hand in front of me right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like I told this to, when I explained this, told the story to someone else,
Hmm.
like this whole entire thing felt as real as me and you having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it up until the part where you saw the water come down and reality just forced me out.
Yeah.
It did not feel any different than any mundane morning where I wake up and
Wow.
get ready for work. It did not feel any different. There was nothing that felt hinky or off other than the confusion of who are you and why are you here? That kind of came at first, but other
Yeah.
than that, no, nothing felt off or odd or that weird dreamlike feeling you get where you're in a dream, but things
Yes.
feel like you have more control than you normally do in a dream. It did not
Yeah.
feel anything like that.
Wow. Super interesting, Zach. Well, I definitely, you said that you had a lot of other paranormal experience, and I definitely would love to have you back in the future, to dive into that. And
Oh,
I hope you're willing
absolutely.
to come back.
Oh, absolutely. I'm more than happy to talk about the things that I have seen because
Awesome.
there are many things out there, many
Hmm.
stranger things out there, things far more strange than dreamt of in your philosophy, Horatio, as the great bard once said.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Zach. I really appreciate your time.
I really appreciate you having me on here. You guys have a good one.
You too. All right. That was Zach, everyone, with a very emotional glitch in the matrix story. And, this isn't the first one where there's been a jumping of timelines. It definitely seems, or a crossing over of timelines, almost a quantum leap. Like you said, I had a previous guest who talked about the same thing when she was certain she was going to die in a car accident and somehow jumped. into a different reality. So I definitely want to say thank you to Zach. That was amazing. Very emotional as well. And when he said this download of memories, all I could think about was if you've ever seen the movie Dark City, where they are experimenting on people and injecting them with memories, trying to find a perfect combination to try finding someone who's perfect for them. But all right, with that being said, I definitely, as the night is coming to an end, I want to say thank you, everyone. Always make sure your light is lit. Yeah, always ensure you keep the light lit, your curiosity wandering, and always find your way home. I look forward to our next adventure together as we navigate the mysteries that lie ahead. Until our paths cross again, keep your curiosity wandering and ensure the light remains lit. All right. See you next time.